Hi, my name is Beverly Singer Brodsky, and in 1970, I believe that I died and came back. Um, I was riding a motorcycle in LA on the freeway, and we were struck by a drunken driver, and I was riding without a helmet, which wasn't the smartest idea, and thrown from the back seat onto the highway. And so we were taken to UCLA Hospital, and I had dozens of broken bones in my head and a fractured skull, and they kept me in there for 2 weeks, and it was like I was under heavy medication, so I was just felt like I was drifting through these different realms. But then after 2 weeks, the insurance company wouldn't pay anymore, so they released me. I had no family there. I had just hitchhiked out west, and they gave me nothing for the pain. And they said, we don't usually see injuries like mine except during wartime. And they couldn't give, at that time the doctors were very conservative. They said, we can't give you anything that wouldn't be addictive. You had to take for a long time. So I went to this place where I was temporarily staying, and I was very depressed, very, very depressed, and I just wanted it to end. I was, at the time, I was very hedonistic. I thought the purpose of life was to enjoy yourself, and I couldn't understand why there was suffering in the world, and how I would possibly get through this. And also, this was during the Vietnam War, and I really felt very bad about, the fact that we were killing people and being killed in war. And also I thought, well, since the skin was pulled off at least half of my face, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be disfigured and no man will ever marry me. So I went to the bedroom. I threw myself down on the bed, and I said, well, I've been raised as a conservative Jewish, well, not really an atheist, but an agnostic. And so I said, well, God, if you're out there, you can take me now, because I can't go on. I can't deal with this stuff. And with that prayer, I rose up out of my body. And that was so amazing. I realized that I was me. I still had thoughts, actually much clearer thoughts than when I was in my body, and that I was still alive. And but then I went up to the ceiling of the room where I was staying, and I was met there by this angel who was like lit from within with a glorious radiance. And I felt like I knew him, and he was in an ethereal body like I was, and he took my hand, such as it was, and we went flying out through the window, which was overlooking the ocean, and but I was not looking down, because right up ahead of us, angled to the right, there was this inverted funnel. People have called it a tunnel since Raymond Moody wrote his books, but it looked more like it had a very wide opening and narrow exit at the far end. And then we went into this funnel, or this tunnel, and it was like a portal to another dimension, a dimension with no time, with no space, an eternal place. And as we were going, I could see far ahead this pinpoint of light, and it got, as we moved through the funnel, it got larger and larger and brighter and brighter. And at some point, I was out of the tunnel. And the amazing thing, too, was that I knew what was happening to me. I knew that I was going home, that I was going to the only real home we ever had. And anyhow, I had been very angry at God for, I think I told you my big 3 reasons. Also because of the Holocaust. And, the being of light was just pouring his unconditional love on me. And I couldn't believe it. It was like, well, he knows me, he or she. It was not really a gender. It was a presence. And this being, I knew that he knew everything I had done. He knew what I had thought, and he knew of this anger, this hatred, and this righteous rage, the state that I was in. And then I started asking him questions. And as I asked the questions, the answers would come to me completely, perfectly, and telepathically until I had no more questions, because I got it. I understood why things were the way they were, and that I believe that we have agreements, and that's why we come into these bodies. We have agreements that we want to fulfill for the good of the whole, and actually the golden rule is not just a little religious platitude, it's the way things work, because there's this interconnection between everything and everybody. And well, then I realized that I no longer had a body. I was just a pure consciousness. And the being of light took me on a journey across the universe. And there were many beautiful and amazing things. I saw, like I didn't see people, I saw the stars were like alive and beautiful and glittering, and then we went into this other portal, this other entrance where all external objects vanished, and we were now back in a primordial before creation, and there were before let there be light, if you believe in the story from the Bible. And everything that was going to, it was like a richly full void, like the plenum that the ancient Greeks talked about. It contained the energy of everything that was going to be coming into being. And I believe the reason I remember this is because I remembered I had been that girl on the bed who wanted to die and said that prayer, and yet here I was, and I just melted back into the primordial unity of all life that is the ground of our being. So I remembered I had said the prayer on the bed, and yet here I was, and I was one with God and with everything that will ever be created in any dimension or time. It was just, it was beyond any words, or beyond the greatest joy that you could ever imagine. And like the intensities of your feelings are really much more acute when you're not shrouded in a human body. So I would never have wanted to leave. It was just perfect. But somehow I found myself back in my body. But I had all these miracles happen. Like, I really didn't feel pain for 6 months. It was like during the toughest part of my healing, I was like hardly in my body. I was just so blissed out. And I saw things differently than we usually see them. Everything was alive and had a consciousness. And moreover, everything had a heart. And there was this love that was in every molecule. It's just so sad that I shut it down after 6 months. Things were happening that weren't really good, and I was like a baby. I loved everything. I loved everybody, and I guess I couldn't really live like that and continue. But I believe that there is no death. That it's just like we go backstage with our usual troupe of players who are in our lives, and that life continues. It has to continue because we all go back to a oneness. So like even when we feel tragedies happen, people die, people are in accident, they just went to another place. And I've never been afraid of death. I'm not crazy about the dying process, but I hope that this sharing will have some meaning for people. Thank you.